Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rockstar direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today I have with me Katarina Carlsson. Now, Katarina is a purpose-driven global entrepreneurial consultant and speaker who is empowering entrepreneurs to find their driving purpose. And I'm assuming that's purpose with a capital P, and to help them reinvent themselves for ultimate success with the globally unique Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation, which is based on neuroscience. So, badass crew, you know me, you know I saw neuroscience and went, oh, let's talk. So, Katarina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here because, like I said, I nerd out over things, especially like neuroscience. But before we dive deep, let's give the audience a little bit more about you. How did you get to where you are today?
Good question. Well, I started off as a teacher, and that wasn't really it for me. I'm more of a trainer. And then I became a psychotherapist because I wanted to find out more about, why am I the way I am, but why are people the way they are, and what's happening in the world? And I was one of the top psychotherapists in Stockholm, but I was not fulfilled. That wasn't it for me. And it took me 20 years to find it. Which means that I found my core values, which are truth, greatness, and vision. And from that, I created the Entrepreneurial Blueprint. And it's been 20 years of success since I aligned myself with my core values and created the Entrepreneurial Blueprint.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, that also explains why else we connected.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
Those core values they're definitely in my top 10 for sure. I love that. So you've been doing 20 years of success. How is it that you get the word out about what you're doing with these core values and explaining the entrepreneurial blueprint? And let's start there.
Good question. I used to network a lot, but since COVID, I've just been doing post after post after post, video after video after video, and it's connected me with people globally, really movers and shakers globally. And so that's how I get in touch with people.
Gotcha. And so let's talk more about this. How did you connect the neuroscience to the entrepreneurial blueprint? Like, where is that connection? What is that connection?
Great question. First of all, in neuroscience, we have to know who we are. And as an entrepreneur, we have to know, if you're going to do your blueprint, you have to know who you are. As a human being, you have to know who you are. And by that, of course, Jennie, I don't mean my name, my address, my ID number. That's not it. Who am I as a person? If we know that as a business person, then we radiate confidence. When we don't know that, we're faking, basically. So you have to know who you are. How does it relate to neuroscience? What stops us is our reptilian brain, the back of our heads. And it runs our inner saboteur. And the inner saboteur stops us from doing anything that would be out of the box. But it's out of the box, as you know, Jennie, where we succeed, where we are courageous, where we conquer our fears and find who we truly are. And who we truly are, who are we really? We are exceptional beings. In all my 20 years, I've never met anybody who I would describe as mediocre. When they've done the entrepreneurial blueprint, their driving purpose comes out. Once they know who they are, they've created an identity statement. They've looked at their inner saboteur strategy, and what their driving purpose is becomes so clear. I mean, usually my clients say to me, "Oh my God, Katarina, I've always wanted to do this. I just haven't dared. But if I'm this, and if I'm this strong, and I have all these assets for me, all these qualities, all these competencies, then this is what I can do." And I say, yes. So let's do your vision, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years. So what has the entrepreneurial blueprint to do with neuroscience? Absolutely everything. It's to do with who you are, who you know yourself to be, who you are not, and reinvent that, and creating a vision.
Yeah. And I think, one thing that people in marketing and business hear over and over and over again is a confused brain doesn't buy, a confused brain doesn't move, right? So
Yes.
this is true not only for the customer, but for the entrepreneur,
Yeah.
is what it sounds like. When they're working with you, they're getting that clarity of who they are. You talk about being purpose driven. So let's go down that hole. How do people find their purpose? Like, that seems like a really big question to have answered.
Absolutely. And it doesn't happen in a moment. I've reduced it to 4 hours. It can happen in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it happened for me in one day once I found my core value. So it's huge. Once you find your driving purpose, you have the potential of having a fulfilling life, not just a satisfying life, not just surviving, but a fulfilling life where you are in joy and you are fulfilled every single day. Now, am I saying it's a bed of roses? Well, roses have thorns. So I'm not being unrealistic here, but once you find your driving purpose, like I did mine 20 years ago, you don't give up, not for anything, because it's part of your spirit, it's part of your soul, and it becomes your life. So, and it's not easy to find it, but once my clients find their true identity, their false identity, they reinvent themselves, they find their weakness, they turn that around, then their driving purpose becomes really, really clear. It's not about just a lot of, random questions. It's really honing into and crafting your identity, finding out who are you really, what's your real gift to the world.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that is, I can tell how passionate you are about this because your face is lighting up. So you are obviously in your purpose,
Yes.
right? So, and I think that's something that people obviously can sense and feel, and when they're talking to somebody who has found that, right? So what is it that keeps people from finding their purpose, from finding their core values? Like, what is it that holds them back from that?
Absolutely. Well, Dr. George Land found that we are actually being dumbed down in schools.
Mm.
Children, he found through a NASA experiment, wasn't an experiment, it was research on 1,600 children and all the way up to adulthood. And he found that children up to the age of 6 were operating from 98% creative genius. I mean, little children don't know their limitations, right?
Yeah.
So most of us have been dumbed down in schools. By the time we're teenagers, it's from 98% before we're 6 down to 12%.
Mm.
Most young people in school don't know that they're a genius. They don't know their brilliance. And that's what schools should be about. I've got 2 foundations to actually change that, because otherwise schools can become very, very boring. They can be very, very boring, or they can be the most innovative, dynamic places in the world. And that's how they should be. And that's how they will be, because I and my partners are creating this. We're introducing the entrepreneurial blueprint into schools. So children at the age of 7 start their entrepreneurial journey. They learn 3 languages before 6 because they're linguistic geniuses. And then they have their entrepreneurial journey all the way till they're 17, 18 and want to leave school or go to college. They have a business that they can monetize. So what happens to us normally? We are dumbed down in schools. We're told that by our parents. It depends on the parents, of course.
Right.
But for many parents, they want to protect us. And so they say, oh, no, don't do that. Don't, go to America for 12 years, which I did. Or, what do you mean you're going to France now? And you're back from France and now you're going to Africa, So I'm not saying don't listen to your parent, but I am saying listen to yourself. And if whatever gives you joy, whatever you feel driven to do, do it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not too dangerous, you're not risking your life. And, your life is your own. So I
Right.
wouldn't stop anybody wanting to climb Mount Everest, because as long as they know the risk. So, yeah.
Right. No, and I would definitely agree with that because, the Badass Crew, my audience knows that I've been homeschooling my children now pretty much since COVID. I mean, they went back to school for like a year and a half, and my kids asked to come back home
Wow.
because of what
Congratulations
they were
to
experiencing in school. They were just like, I don't get to be me. They're always telling us to sit down, be quiet, and I
yes.
don't get to create and I don't get to participate. And, they just recognize that. And I said, you know what? Mommy works from home. Daddy can work from home most days. Let's see how it goes. And their first year homeschooling, I mean, my kids really began to flourish because they got to explore the knowledge that they wanted to go after while still staying within state standards, right? Learning what they needed to. But then we also got to really dig deep into what they love to do. So both of my kids
Wow.
are creative artists, they love music and all of that. So I think being able to, foster that with them has really helped them, I feel, become amazing human beings. I mean, because they're able to live in their joy, live in their passion. I'm not telling them to sit down, shut up, do your math, do your hump, blah, blah. No, it's, are you learning? What are you learning? Tell me more about that. Right. And I think that right there. And one of the things that I told them, I said, when we homeschool, because you hear about the corporate lifestyle from your dad, you're going to learn about the entrepreneurial life side from mom.
That's amazing.
Right. So I think it's very important to have that for our children, to let them know what the options are out there for what they can do. And of course, I'm not telling them, oh, you have to start a business. Do you want to start a business now that you know some things about this? Let's dig a little deeper into this. I think that's really important. So that's for children and how that's happening. For adults, because I have thousands of listeners who can't all necessarily hang out with Katarina. What can someone do to begin figuring out their purpose, their core values?
Great question. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for bringing out your children's brilliance during COVID. I mean, what a mom you are.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Amazing. I love it. And this is what we're doing. We're actually training teachers to bring out the brilliance in every single child, so that every single child has a profile to find out what they love to do, what's important to them, what do they do at the weekends, etc. So that every teacher has access to every single student's brilliance profile. So to answer your question, if you're at home and you contact me for some reason, but there is a way you be with me for 15 minutes and it's absolutely worth it. So what can you do? First of all, find your core values. What's important to you? And if you're not sure of your core values, write down 3 things in life that really make you angry. So it could be injustice, it could be war, it could be our climate
Abuse,
change,
violence.
violence,
Yeah.
anything like that, because the opposite is what you really want. So it could be peace, it could be cleaning up the environment, it could be anything like that, but it'll get you closer to who you are and what you're about. So you can start there. It's not easy to create an identity statement. I would say you need to really work with an expert, but what you can do is go back to a time when you could have been 5 years old, you could have been 7 years old. You could have decided that at 7, your parents couldn't afford a bike, so you sold your toys on the street and you got the money to buy a bike. So you're a young entrepreneur already. So think of a moment where you were brilliant. Are you still the same person? Yes. That brilliant person is still inside you. And then form an I am statement. That is a start. For those of you at home who, for some reason, will not contact me, do that. Find your core
Mhm.
values, find what you hate, what you're angry about. The opposite is what you want. And then think of a time where you were extraordinary. There's always one time. And it could be even when you were giving birth to a child, or it could have been any moment like that. Everybody has one. So create who you were in that moment. I am an extraordinary mother, extraordinary entrepreneur. Okay.
Ah, I love it. Now, as you mentioned, you do have an opportunity for the badass crew who are so motivated to connect with you directly and actually have a 15-minute consultation so that they can explore this to figure out whether they're, what their entrepreneurial blueprint may be, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about what this 15-minute consultation looks like?
What's one of the most important things as an entrepreneur is to find out what kind of entrepreneur you are. Are you
Mhm.
a marketing entrepreneur? In which case you can sell, sell, sell. I mean, you mentioned a confused mind. A confused mind cannot do business. A confused mind does not create confidence in other people. And a confused mind cannot sell. But if you are a natural born marketer, you can sell, you can market, and your business will thrive as long as it's something that really drives you, something that's really important to you. Your core values are very, very important. So if you're a marketer, we'll find out if you're a marketer, or we'll find out if you're a visionary. Now,
Mhm.
visionaries, if you're married to an organizer, let's say a visionary man is married to an organizer woman, uh, that can be a tricky okay, combination. It can be a challenging combination because she wants you to make money. And you, as a man, as a visionary entrepreneur, you come up with this idea or that idea or that idea, and there's no money coming in, right? So that's a typical example. So visionaries, if you're a visionary, be kind to yourself, and I hope you have wives that are kind to you. And the other way around, if she's a visionary and he's an organizer, that works very well because he'll be behind her vision. So it's very, very important to know Am I a visionary entrepreneur? Am I a marketing entrepreneur? Am I an organizer entrepreneur? Organizers often tell me, but Katarina, that's kind of boring. Well, I tell you what, if you don't organize your business, I'm sorry, your business will collapse. You have to have systems, you have to have structures. It may be boring, but it's absolutely essential. With an organizer, you're on time, you make your appointments, you respond to emails, absolutely essential. And it's essential, actually, we have all three elements. So if you are a visionary and you can afford to work with an organizer and a marketer, that's perfect. If you cannot, find a team anyway. Find a team that includes a marketer, an organizer, and a visionary. So in the 15 minutes with me, we will find which one you are. And it can completely change not only your business, but your life, because you'll be able to speak to your partner in a completely different way.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense because just listening to you speak with some of what you were saying about these different things, I definitely feel like my visionary and my marketer are pretty close to each other. So I'm not sure which one is my first one, but they're definitely my first and second because my organizer is 100% my bottom for my own business. Can I help other people see what they need to do for their systems, processes? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
I can help other people see that, right? Because
Yes.
I also know what I'm missing in my own business,
Yes.
right?
I think you're a marketer with visionary skills as well, but you're a
Yes,
marketer, and because you love people. It's
I
obvious.
do.
You love people, and once you find something, you will recommend it. Like
Yeah.
you just recommended Opus Pro to me
Yes.
in a minute. So you are a natural salesperson. You are a natural marketer. You just love to spread the word. Yeah,
Yeah.
marketer.
I,
And that
I
took us a few seconds, not 15 minutes.
Right, exactly, exactly. And when you've got someone like you who's very familiar with the blueprint to be able to see those different pieces, right? But I definitely, it's very interesting to me when I see other things like this where people are like, "Oh, you're a this, or you're an owl, you're a dolphin, you're a parrot, you're like all the different, you're a D, you're a whatever." What I try and explain to people is you're a little bit of everything, right? Like, and I use the analogy of, I loved the TV show from like 20 years ago, Sex in the City, because it's, four different women they were like extreme versions of different types of people, right? So people either really felt closely connected to Charlotte or Samantha or Carrie or Miranda, right? And I was like, I'm a little of all of them. Like I can definitely see some parts of Charlotte, like the homemaker. Yes, I want to do the little things like that and have the relationship and the children and the whatever. But I also enjoy the Samantha, the fun,
Yeah.
sexy part, the free, being out there. We all have that, the little bits of each one of these people or each one of these things. So the fact that, I can see the different parts. Yes, I do have some organizer. Yes, I have more visionary. Yes, I'm definitely on the marketer side.
Yeah.
I think it's very helpful to know that because it does help you when like you were saying at the very beginning, when we better understand ourselves, we can go out into the world doing that which we are most strong,
Yes.
have the most confidence, and be able to then fill our team in other ways
Yes.
to support the rest of the business. This is fantastic. This is so good. Okay. So, Badass Crew, you guys all know that if you want that 15-minute consultation, go to the show notes or the episode notes, depending, or the description if you're on YouTube, right? Go there in wherever you're listening to this episode. If you are new to the show and maybe you've never listened to this before and you have no idea where the episode notes or show notes or description are, well, if you're on YouTube, description is right under the video. If you're listening on a podcast app, you're going to grab your phone, as long as you're not driving, click on today's episode, scroll under Katarina's picture, And there's the show notes. You're going to see key takeaways, a brief little summary of what we talked about. And then you'll see a wonderful little link where you can book your 15-minute session with Katarina to learn whether you are a visionary, an organizer, marketer that can help you in your business and life. Katarina, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad. This was a fantastic conversation. I love this. It gave me a little more clarity of myself.
Brilliant. Absolutely. And no wonder you have a little bit of everybody and you accept them because you're a natural born marketer with a big heart, which means that you don't judge people. You can associate yourself with everyone because you're a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But not everybody's like that.
Really? See, I figure I thought everybody has a little bit of everybody in, right?
Well, I guess they do in their souls, in their spirits, but they don't necessarily express that. Some people, make judgments very, very quickly about, oh, I like Samantha, I don't like Cheryl, da 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 da, and that's it. I'm not going to change my mind about it. That's how some people are.
That's very true.
So having this gift that you recognize something in every single person and you recognize it in yourself, that's a gift. And that's a natural born market.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And of course, Badass Crew. If this has been helpful for you to hear about this and you want to learn more about yourself so that you can go into the world, go into your business with more clarity, more purpose, more passion, because you know these things, then set up your 15-minute consultation with Katarina so that you can learn more about yourself and come away with that clarity and purpose of understanding. So, Katarina, thank you again for being here today. I so appreciate you.
My pleasure, Jenny. It's been a great conversation. I love it. I love your questions.
Thank you so much. And of course, Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.